Hello everybody, it's Sarah. Welcome back. Today I'm very excited because I'm coming at you with a book haul. So it's been a while since the last time I did a book haul, and that is because, as you may already know, I don't buy a lot of books very often, but I've accumulated honestly a really decent pile, so I thought that right now was the perfect time to finally film a new book haul. So I have 14 books to talk about today that I've accumulated in the last couple of months, as well as one little bookish thing that is not a book but I'm also really excited about, so I just wanted to share it with all of you. So yeah, without any further ado, let's dive into this. Okay, so I have two piles right here next to me, and I'm gonna start with the top of the first pile, which is actually an entire series that I got recently, and that is the Great Library series by Rachel Caine. In case you don't know, I started reading this series in November of 2020, and I completely fell in love with all of the characters from that series and the world. Everything about it is just so great, so I knew that I really wanted to get myself a copy of each of the books. So we have Ink and Bone, Ash and Quill, Paper and Fire, Smoke and Iron, and Sword and Pen. And in case you still haven't heard me talk about it, which would really surprise me because I've been screaming about those books since last year, but basically the Great Library series is a kind of like steampunk-y fantasy series in which we follow our main character Jess, who lives in this world in which there is a very big library called the Great Library, which basically controls everything that has to do with books and knowledge. And Jess's father is actually a part of the black market of books, so he smuggles books out of the library to try and sell them for a profit. And so at the beginning of the first book, he decides that he wants to send his son undercover at the library. So Jess goes over there to become an apprentice librarian, and he meets all of these other apprentices who slowly start to realize that the library isn't as great as it seems. These books are just so incredible, and as it often happens with me, my favorite thing about this entire universe is actually the characters. I grew so attached to all of them. I love them all so much. I love Jess and Kalila and Dario and every single one of them. I just love them so much, and I completely fell in love with them while reading the series. So yeah, I definitely feel like I'm gonna want to reread those one day. I definitely feel like they're going to become a comfort read for me because of how much I love them. I also just really love the world, and the world building is just so incredible and so good. The plot is maybe not the strongest element of this entire series, but I still really enjoyed my time reading it, and because I became so attached to all of the characters, I just needed to keep on going and find out what was going to happen to them. So if you are a character-driven reader, I would definitely recommend this series. I think it's absolutely a hidden gem into the YA fantasy genre, and if you love books about books, this is a great series for you as well. The next few books I want to talk about are also a part of a series, and they are absolutely stunning, and I need all of us to take a moment to really appreciate those editions because I searched everywhere for them, and I finally found them, and I am so happy about it. And I really had a moment when I finally got the entire set together, and oh my god, I'm so excited to share them with all of you. And that is the entirety of the Lord of the Rings trilogy in this beautiful hardcover edition. I love them so much. So we have, of course, the first one, the Fellowship of the Ring. Just look at this. I hope that my camera will focus because the focus isn't really great on my camera, but like, it's so beautiful. It has this stunning illustration of Rivendell on the cover, and I just love it so much. Then we have the Two Towers, which is very dark and spooky with the giant spider. I really love it. And oh my god, on the background you have like the towers. Oh my gosh, so beautiful. And then finally, of course, we have The Return of the King, which is once again so incredibly stunning. I think definitely my two favorites are this one and the Fellowship of the Ring. I think they're just so beautiful, and I hesitated so long to get them because those are so expensive, but they're honestly just so stunning, and I couldn't stop thinking about them, so I'm so happy that I finally got them. They're also illustrated, which is absolutely amazing, and just the quality is insane. The end papers, stunning. I just love everything about those editions, and I'm so happy that I finally got them. So now I can reread The Lord of the Rings over and over and over again and just really appreciate the beauty of these books on my bookshelves. Then the next two books that I want to talk about, I actually already talked about into a video that I did recently about all of the unread books on my shelves, but I still wanted to haul them just in case like you haven't seen that video. And basically these two books are The Way of Kings Part 1 and The Way of Kings Part 2 by Brandon Sanderson. And this was actually a Christmas gift from my very good friend Mary from Mary Among Stories. She knows that I have been meaning to read the Stormlight Archive for such a long time, so she decided to get me those for Christmas in these absolutely beautiful editions. So once again, Mary, thank you so much. And I know absolutely nothing about The Way of Kings, but I am so excited to read it because so many people have said such incredible things about the Stormlight Archive, and I just need to know. Like, I need to read the series. I feel like I've been talking about reading it for so long. I just really need to get to it. Finally, like, please bully me in the comments. I need to read those books. But yeah, oh my gosh, I'm so excited that I own them now and I'm gonna be able to read them. So yeah, Mary, thank you so much. I love you. And I also need to thank Mary for another gift that she sent me actually for my birthday this time around, and that book is A Little Princess by Frances Hodgson Burnett. I hope I pronounced that right. So this is a classic and I know absolutely nothing about it. I just know that Mary really loves it, and that's why she sent it my way. Also, the main character is called Sarah, which is kind of funny. But yeah, I don't know what happens. I guess it's about this little girl, and I don't know what happens to her, but I'm definitely curious to find out. I think it's a children's classic, so I'm expecting a tale that is a little bit sad, also very sweet about, you know, growing up and just life in general, I guess. I really don't know, but I'm really interested to read this one too. And the next book that I want to share is something very different because it's a non-fiction, and I very rarely buy any non-fiction. It's not necessarily like the kind of genre that I want to read over and over again, so that's why I don't necessarily buy a lot of it. But I saw this one at work and I knew I needed to get it, and that book is The World's Most Amazing Castles. And basically this is just a kind of like traveling book about castles, because in case you don't follow me on Instagram, maybe you don't know this little fact about me, but I have an obsession, and I mean an obsession, with castles. I really love castles. I just think they're so beautiful. There's always something so magical about them, and they're just, yeah, they're stunning, they're fascinating. Often really weird people or really special people lived in them, so it's just always so interesting to visit them. And I'm always just so curious about castles and about facts about them, and like who used to live there, when was it built, what happened to it, like all of the history of those places just really fascinates me. I'm already going down a spiral, I feel like you can tell. But yeah, rambling aside, I just really love castles, and I saw this one and it's about like some of the most famous castles on earth, and it has some beautiful pictures, and I just needed to have it because I need to keep my obsession alive, you know. I need to keep on learning more about all of those beautiful castles and just look at them, because I can't travel to them right now, which really breaks my heart. But yeah, I decided to get this one and I'm really excited to read it. Honestly, I'm super hyped about learning all about those castles. And also the foreword is written by the lady who lives in Highclere Castle, which is the real life Downton Abbey. And Downton Abbey is one of my favorite shows, so I'm really excited to hear what she has to say about castles. It's just so beautiful. I just really needed to have it and add it to my collection because I love castles so much. Then the next book that I want to talk about is actually not a book that I bought, but a book that I got from the library, and I want to talk about it in this video because I feel like it might surprise some of you who have been following my channel for a while. And that book is Lightbringer by Claire Legrand. This is the third and final book to the Imperium series, the first one being Furyborn and the second one being Kingsbane. And if you've been following me here for a while, you might know that Kingsbane, the second book of the series, actually made me scream like no other book that I have read in such a long time. I was so angry at that second book, so it might be surprising to all of you that I've decided to pick up the third book at the library, but I'm actually very determined to finish this trilogy. Like, I still have enough interest in the trilogy to want to know what happens because it's such a wild ride. I guess I should probably give you a synopsis, but basically, in case you don't know about the Imperium trilogy, it is about those two queens who live 1,000 years apart, and one of them is the Blood Queen, and she is supposed to be the doom of her kingdom, and then the other one is the Sun Queen, who is supposed to save the kingdom. And basically we follow them side by side as they go on their journey and on their quests, and it's really good. But the ending of the second book really destroyed all of my emotions and made me very angry, so I'm really curious to know what's gonna happen in Lightbringer. This book has been out for a while. I think it came out at the end of last year, or maybe like at in the middle of 2020 or something like that, so it's been on my TBR for a while, and I feel like it is finally time. I need to know what's gonna happen with all of those characters. I need to know if I'm still going to be screaming at them throughout this entire book, because that is probably what's gonna happen for sure, but also I need to know, so it's gonna happen. Then finally, the last book that I want to talk about is another book that I shared into my unread books on my shelf video, and I still haven't read it, even if I should have read it, because it's one of my it's like my top most anticipated book of the year, I think. And I know I'm gonna love it, but I also know it's going to destroy me, so I feel like I've been really avoiding it at this point, and that book is The Mask Falling by Samantha Shannon, as maybe you could guess. And this is the fourth book into the Bone Season series, which is one of my favorite fantasy series of all time, and I know that so many people have been completely and utterly destroyed by this book, especially the ending apparently really hurts. And I just finished The Sky Beyond the Storm yesterday, the last book into the Ember in the Ashes series by Sabaa Tahir, and it really destroyed me. Like, I feel broken inside, so I know it's not the right moment for me to start this book because it's going to destroy me all over again, and I'm not ready for all of those sad emotions. So that's why I still haven't picked up this book, and I feel like I've talked about the Bone Season so many times on my channel already, but in case you don't know, it's a fantasy series. It takes place into this dystopian version of London in which there are people called the Clairvoyants who basically have those like psychic powers, and our main character Paige, she is a clairvoyant, and she can actually like kick you out of your headspace and kill you, and she does that one day in self-defense, and so she is sent away to a prison into the city of Oxford, and she is basically for the rest of the first book trying to break out of it and trying to organize a rebellion. And it's such a good series, and obviously what I just said is just basically the basic synopsis of the first book. I said basically and basic into the same sentence. And there's so much more to this series. I love all of the characters. The world building, as always, is so good. Samantha Shannon is so good at creating worlds that feel real and that are compelling and just complex enough to keep you guessing every single time. And I'm so excited about this fourth book. I know I'm going to love it. I know I'm going to probably cry and be completely destroyed by it, so that's why I've been kind of like avoiding it. But at some point, I know I'm gonna have to do it, and I'm still excited to do it. I just know I'm gonna suffer. And then finally, the last thing that I want to share in this video is, like I said, not a book, but a bookish object. And I'm so excited about this thing, and that is a embroidery kit that is basically called Embroider the World of Jane Austen. So it's embroidery patterns inspired by Jane Austen's novels, and I am so excited about it. I've never embroidered anything before in my entire life. Like, I don't know how to embroider. This is the first thing that I ever got into that department, but it is definitely a hobby that has been really interesting me in the last couple of months, and when I saw this at work, I knew I needed to get it, and I got so excited when I saw it, because what better way to start embroidery than by embroidering Jane Austen quotes and characters? I feel like it's so perfect. Like, it's gonna make me feel like a real life Jane Austen character. And I also know a lot of people who do embroidery, and they say that it's like the most soothing thing, and it's just very satisfying because it's something that you just make yourself. And I've never done anything like this before. Like, I've never been that big with like crafts and stuff like that. So I don't know if I'm actually going to enjoy it or if it's going to frustrate me to no end. I guess only time and trials will tell, but I'm really excited to try. And also, I don't know, maybe you'll see it in some of my vlogs, who knows? But yeah, I'm just very excited about this, and I'm so happy that I got it for myself. Alright, so this brings us to the end of this book haul. I hope that you really enjoyed this video. Definitely let me know down below what is the last book that you bought, because I would really love to know. I always love to get some more suggestions from all of you. I hope that you really enjoyed. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!